There are some actors who can play a character so well it almost seems the role was tailor-made for them. Casting is a lengthy process, and finding the right fit and creating a memorable character can be a laborious task, one that may require a few test runs. Here are 10 iconic movie roles that were originally to be played by other actors.
Who's coming with me?
Tom Hanks and Jerry Maguire. The 1996 romantic dramedy from director Cameron Crowe, Jerry Maguire, is the film that made a breakout star of Renee Zellweger, earned Cuba Gooding Jr. an Academy Award, and informed audiences that the human head weighs 8 pounds. Before Tom Cruise memorably portrayed the sports agent who had a change of heart, Tom Hanks was set to star. 5 years before the film was shot, Hanks had agreed to play the lead. Hanks wasn't crazy about the script, and he thought Jerry and Dorothy getting married didn't make sense. 4 years and a final script later, Hanks had won 2 Oscars and wanted to direct. There were too many objectionable factors to continue with Hanks. He left and ended up making his own film, That Thing You Do. Molly Ringwald as Vivian from Pretty Woman. The 1980s belonged to Molly Ringwald. The redheaded teen was the sweet girl next door with her unassuming beauty and heightened angst. She was filmmaker John Hughes' muse for years, and she starred in his films 16 Candles, The Breakfast Club, and Pretty in Pink. As her place in 80s pop culture came to a close, the 90s could have started off with a hit by once again playing an unlikely object of a rich man's affection, when she was in talks to play Vivian in 1990's Pretty Woman. Director Gary Marshall thought the role would be an interesting departure from Ringwald's previous roles. Ringwald was just never satisfied with the script, as she felt the content was not fitting for her image. Years later, Ringwald commented on her decision as being one of her dumbest career moves. Tom Selleck as Indiana Jones. Harrison Ford is an actor who exudes confidence and endless charm, which is exactly why he perfectly embodied 2 of the coolest film characters ever, Han Solo and Indiana Jones. Another actor who happens to possess those qualities is the original choice for Indiana Jones, Tom Selleck. After the Star Wars films, George Lucas, who wrote 1981's Raiders of the Lost Ark, was not especially keen on casting Harrison Ford in another one of his films. He asked Steven Spielberg to cast the mustachioed Tom Selleck instead. Everything was set, and all involved were excited to see Selleck on the big screen as the archaeologist adventurer. Timing was just not on their side, as Selleck's pilot for the new detective show Magnum P.I. had just been picked up by CBS. He was unable to get out of contract for the show, and since he was the star of both projects, there was no way to work around it. This led him to exit the film and win an Emmy instead. Tom Cruise as Iron Man. When an actor has a career as long-lasting and prolific as Tom Cruise, it's only natural that there would be a few roles that came his way first. Along with Footloose, Speed, and A Beautiful Mind, Cruise has tossed his hat in many iconic roles from the last 3 decades. One of these near misses was Tony Stark in 2008's Iron Man. Cruise was attached to star as the cocky millionaire genius for years, starting in the late 90s. As Marvel was beginning to make serious movies and releasing their superhero films in 2004, Cruise was still in talks and playing the role. Even after years of interest, Cruise just couldn't wrap his head around Iron Man working as a film, and decided to give up on it completely. Leonardo DiCaprio as Dirk Diggler from Boogie Nights. Dirk Diggler is the young aspiring porn star at the center of Paul Thomas Anderson's 1997 film, Boogie Nights. He goes from being a high school dropout with a rare appendage to the biggest name in the industry, then to a has-been, and finally a comeback kid, all within the span of a 2.5-hour feature. The person who was originally cast to play the complicated mess was Leonardo DiCaprio. It was 1996, and the actor had just finished Baz Luhrmann's dreamy and romantic Romeo and Juliet. His excitement for playing such a gritty and adult character overtook his interest in playing in another film that was looking for its lead, Titanic. According to DiCaprio, it was the casting of Kate Winslet that swayed him towards James Cameron's big-budget flick, as he initially had no interest in starring in another romantic drama at the time.
I'll promise to keep rocking and rolling and making better films.
John Travolta as Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump, the slow-witted man who just so happens to always be in the right place at the right time in history, is one of Tom Hanks' most beloved roles, but it almost wasn't his. Director Robert Zemeckis initially wanted John Travolta to play the lead in the film adaptation of Winston Groom's 1986 novel. It was Travolta who would step into those running shoes and share his philosophical thoughts on boxed chocolate. However, Travolta decided he wasn't interested after all, and the role went to Hanks, which gave him his 2nd Academy Award in a row. Travolta admits that passing on the part was one of his biggest mistakes, but at least he had an iconic role in Pulp Fiction, which was released only a few months after Forrest Gump. Will Smith as Neo from The Matrix. It was the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air who was going to have to choose between the red pill and the blue pill, or at least that was the original plan when Will Smith was set to star in the 1999 Wachowski brothers science fiction action film, The Matrix. Apparently, Smith was not completely sure how to play Neo, nor was he sure what the film was going to be, which caused him to worry about taking it on. After having few meetings with the directors to understand their vision, he was still unsure about the whole endeavor, leading him to back out of the film. Smith does not regret walking away from Neo, as he believes no one could play the role quite like Keanu Reeves. Chris Farley as Shrek. Shrek is the lovable ogre who just wants to be left alone in his swamp front home and frighten townspeople for his own entertainment in the 2001 DreamWorks hit. Audiences are familiar with the Scottish accented Mike Myers as the title character, but it was actually the late Chris Farley who originated the role. In 1997, the comedian was on a roll with multiple films after departing from Saturday Night Live. He had recorded 90% of the film before dying from a drug overdose. Farley's version of Shrek was much different, as it was a story of a teenage ogre who dreamed of becoming a knight rather than taking over the family business. Due to his death, the filmmaker scrambled to finish it until fellow SNL actor Mike Myers took over and made it his own. Johnny Depp in Mr. and Mrs. Smith. The 2001 Doug Liman action comedy Mr. and Mrs. Smith is not only known for its massive box office success, it was also the film that introduced Brad Pitt to Angelina Jolie. Things would be much different if the Mr. Smith in question was played by Johnny Depp, the actor originally cast in the role. Depp was attached to the role of the contract killer for some time. Once production was underway, Depp backed out at the last minute, claiming he felt overworked from all the productions he had recently completed. The role went to Brad Pitt, but Jolie and Depp did end up working together 5 years later in The Tourist.
Jack, I want you to draw me like one of your French girls.
Gwyneth Paltrow as Rose from Titanic. Titanic sits in second place as the biggest box office hit in film history. The James Cameron spectacle earned countless accolades, and was regarded as a romance for the ages when it was released in December of 1997. Before Kate Winslet took on the role of Rose the Whipplicator, James Cameron had another beautiful young actress in mind for the role, Gwyneth Paltrow. Paltrow had recently appeared in films like David Fincher's Seven and the film adaptation of Jane Austen's Emma when Cameron offered her the role. She decided to pass in favor of smaller films like the British romantic comedy Sliding Doors. She went on to make another Academy Award-winning film Shakespeare in Love a year later, and the role of Rose deservedly went to Winslet. There's our list. Were there any actors that we forgot? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the Screen Rant YouTube channel to see more great videos like this one.